In this video, we're going to run through how to create some annotations on some virtual slides. So if you can see here, I'm in a collection called Tutorial 06112013, and I've got 4 virtual slides in there. And so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to open one of them. And this is some pancreas. And I'm going to go to a specific area of the image. And I'm going to press Z and zoom in. I could also do the same marquee zoom by going up here, but I like to use the Z key, so I'm going to do that. And you can see some eyelets here. And so really, there's a couple of ways to get to the annotations. The simplest one is just in the image itself, to click on this little hand with the pencil in the upper left of the image, and the annotation window comes up. And you can see here, I can draw arrows, I can write text on the images. I have preset markers, which are things like stars, circles, and triangles. I can draw bigger contours, which are my own chosen shapes, or I can draw boxes and circles. But the first thing I'm going to do is to write a description. And so we'll put a name in here for this. And let's draw an arrow to this. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to set the color of my arrow. Yellow's not a bad color. And then I'm just going to draw it. Now if I want that head to be thicker, I'll come over here in the right of the dialog and click on Edit. Click on the arrow, and then I can actually make that head a bit thicker. And when I'm done, I just say, go back to tracing. So let's put some text to go with that. Now we're going to come in here and I'm going to choose some yellow text to match my yellow arrow. And I can just come and start typing. And if I want to edit that, I'm going to come back and click Edit, and then I'm free to move that wherever I want. I can also change fonts. And I can also use, I'm going to press C to get to the first set of fonts beginning with C, and maybe I want to make that a little bit bigger. And if you notice here in this window, there's this little button called Create Bookmark in that collection that we're talking about, and I'm going to check that. Because what I'm doing now is I'm saying I want to remember the location that I drew this annotation in so that I can revisit it. And so it's going to create what's called a bookmark. And bookmarks are just like in web pages. When you bookmark a web page, it'll go right back to it. But imagine in a virtual slide, if you could go right back to the location and zoom level of the slide you were in. And that's exactly what a bookmark is. Annotations are just drawings. They're like layers in other drawing programs. They don't really have locations associated with them. To remember locations, we have this bookmarking system. So I'm going to say, now that I've drawn this annotation in this specific area that I'm in, I want to spawn a bookmark. So when I do that and I say done, you notice now I have in my annotation window my list, and you can see there's my eyelet of Langerhans. I'm going to move this out of the way for a second. And now I'm going to go down here, and if you look under this collection name in my bookmark window, you'll see there it is. So if I go anywhere else now, and I'm zooming out with the mouse wheel, and I'm going to left click and drag just to pan away a little bit, and I'm going to zoom somewhere else. If I click on that bookmark now, it'll immediately bring me back to that. So let's do another one just so we can see the list expand a bit. So I'm going to go and I'm going to close this image, and I'm going to go to another image. So let's open, here's some renal cell carcinoma. And again, I'm going to go to a specific area of the image that I'm interested in. And this time I'll go through my marquee zoom. And let's just say maybe something like this. And I'm just going to put some text on this image. I'm not going to do anything else. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the hand and the pencil to bring up my Annotations tool. And I'm going to make a box this time. So let's make the box white. And we're going to fill the box this time. So we're going to fill the interior of the contour as white. And then I'll draw the box. And I can put that over here. Now I can control the transparency of that, so I'm going to click on Edit. Maybe that's a little too opaque. And I'm going to go contour fill settings, and I can make it more or less transparent. So I'll make it a little more transparent. And I forgot, the first thing we need to do is renal cell. We need to give this annotation a label, carcinoma. And then I'll go back to tracing. And now what I want to do is put some text within that box. I'm going to make my text black this time. And it's still on my Calibri font. Maybe make it a little smaller here. And first I'm going to click outside and get the text written. And then I'm going to edit it and move it into that box. I can also edit the box at the same time. So this is demonstrating kind of a key point too, is if you notice, now when I say done, well, there's my annotation, and in the annotation window that actually lists what annotations you have, I only have one annotation even though I drew a box and some text. And so if I were to do another one now, say new, so I can either edit this one and add more annotations or drawings to that particular group of annotations, or I can make an entirely new group of annotations. So in this one, maybe I'll make an arrow. And I'll edit that arrow to make the head a little thinner. And I'll call this one arrow. And I don't want to create a bookmark for this one because I've got a bookmark associated from the last one that I made, and you'll see in a second in the list. So now I'm going to click on Done. But now notice that I have actually two annotations in this annotation window list, and that's because I did basically a couple of different drawings. And that's useful for when you want to be able to do things like, if things are obscured by your annotations, you can click them independently. Really, but the thing to remember is they're just drawings, and that you can have as many annotations in one of these groups as you like. And that when you use that checkbox to spawn a bookmark, it's going to remember that particular location. And if you look, sure enough, here in my bookmark window, which is the list of locations that you've stored for slides in a particular collection, there it is. So if I go anywhere else in this image, again, I can click here, but I can also go back to my other image that I had made a bookmark in within that particular window. So now, what if I want to just save a location? What if I don't really care about having an annotation? What if, say, I want to go to a particular region of an image and just remember that, and then I don't want to draw, I just want to remember that particular location? Well, you can do that too. So you don't have to spawn these bookmarks by creating an annotation and then using that checkbox. You can just click on this star to remember the location that you're in. And so these are Hassel's corpuscles, USCLES, and when I click done, that's immediately in my bookmark list. So I can go islet of Langerhans, renal cell carcinoma, and Hassel's corpuscles. Quite a mix of tissues, I know, but we're just demonstrating the point here. So I've gone in, and for all of the images that are, well, all but one except the eye, for the images in this particular collection, I've made annotations and spawned bookmarks, or saving the location of the annotation with each of them. And for this third one, I just saved the location. So that's, in a nutshell, how to create annotations and remember their locations within the Biolucida viewer.